week's conversation, it's kind of weird because I'm in my new place, and so it looks, you know, the lighting is different. I was just getting carried away with the lighting. Did a little Instagram story before I started this anyways. So but yes, this week's conversation, it's about reviewing the projects that some people undertook. But if you didn't do a project, I don't think that that's going to get in the way of extracting what's useful from this conversation, because it's more about projects I wonder what that noise was. The radiator's just come on. I know. It's hot. I don't need it. I'll turn it off in a minute. Anna Spanner, hi. Yeah, so it's more about the concept of project in your life, in your creative life. So I don't think it will get in the way if you didn't do a project. Some people will have some things to feed back with regards to their projects, and some people won't. Some people will have sort of got halfway with what they were doing, and you know, Steve, you're an example. So, you know, things change and stuff like that. And it's not about, as much as the project is important in and of itself, as much as you want it to be, basically, like in terms of what your overall goals are, how it fits into all of that. It's more about being in that mode of creating something for yourself and starting, because getting started is one of the hardest things when it comes to, you know, particularly self-created, self-motivated, creative endeavors. It's just really hard to get started. And so the idea of having these projects is to give you the muscle memory, as much as anything, for being able to go on and do that in the future, in whichever way you want that to look. Steve, hi. So I'm just gonna check who on here already has done a project, or, you know, committed to doing a project. So Steve, I think you're the only person here who took on a project out of the people on this conversation, as far as sound off if I've got that wrong. But by the way, happy Easter, everyone. Jeez, what's wrong with me? Happy Easter. Hi Phil, thanks. Happy Easter. I did enjoy it. I had lunch with my mum, and that was very, very nice. So Steve, I'll give you a minute to just like collect your thoughts about what you might want to say about the project. Some questions that I have for the guys that undertook them was things like, you know, how was it, basically? What did you see through the process of doing it? What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about what you want? How does it fit into the... I mean, you don't have to answer all these questions, but just like to stir the pot of thoughts that you might have about, you know, what you got out of the whole process. Yeah. How does it fit into the bigger picture of what you're trying to create for yourself? Did it bring clarity to what you want to create for yourself? You know, all that sort of stuff. Pat, did you take on a project? I don't think you did you? I think you joined sort of later in the game. Happy Easter, Pat. And hi, Mr. Mentoring Services. Hello. So yeah, Steve, I'll give you a moment to sort of collect your thoughts about what you might want to share or not share about your project. And in the meantime, I'll just share a little bit about what happened with me. So I took on a commitment to, what did I do? Yeah, meditation every day for 10 minutes minimum. And actually what I ended up doing is increasing my meditation time by a minute every week, because I wanted to sort of ease myself into getting to 20 minutes and try and make it so that I didn't notice that the time was going up. I totally did notice, and I was in my head for quite a lot of the time, but I did it up until about a week before the official sort of end of the projects, until the deadline. And yeah, I found it like I had to schedule it. I had to schedule it in my day, otherwise it just didn't happen. You know, it's really hard I found it really hard to commit to doing it unless it was there in the diary. And if it wasn't, I would completely forget to do it. So that happened. Oh, well, it almost happened a couple of times. And then I just realized, yeah, you've got to put it in the diary every day. So I did that. But what I really struggled with was it just felt like such a long time. 10 minutes just felt like such a long time. So I found that challenging. And as the time started going, 10 minutes I could handle, but as the time started going up, especially as I was starting to get to 16, 17 minutes, that type of time, I just really was so distracted, wanted it to be over, felt relief almost when it was over. So I really found it very, very challenging. And I think it's because I'm the sort of person who, you know, navigates the world from their head in terms of, you know, navigates the world by what I'm thinking. And so asking my mind to be quiet for a certain amount of time. Steve, I've seen your comment, by the way. I'm gonna come back round to you when I've finished, and then we can talk about your project. And I see Tom has joined. Tom, you took on a meditation project as well. So I was just sharing how it went for me, and you know, Steve's about to share, I hope, how the project was for him, and you know, it'd be great if you would say a little bit about how the project was for you too. Everyone took on different projects, by the way. People who weren't party to that conversation, we all took on different things about what was important to us, what would serve a goal, a greater goal that we were trying to achieve. So that's why some about half of us took on meditation, and the other half took on projects that were sort of doing something that we wanted to create for ourselves. So yeah, so as it got towards the 16, 17 minutes, I was hating it, but and then about a week before the end of the project, I went back to LA. My mum came over, and it just went completely out of the window. And I was kind of fine with that because I just had a lot on my plate of being tour guide and stuff like that. That isn't to say that just because you've got a lot on your plate that you let things go. But I just accepted that was just the way it was. I felt like I'd given it a good innings, but I just wanted the relief of not doing it. And then I was on this retreat, as some of you may have seen, and there was a lot of meditation in it, and for quite a lot, you know, lengthy, probably longer than the 20 minutes that I was aiming for, which I got to by the end. By the time I stopped, I was up to 20 minutes, but it felt much easier. And I suspect that where meditation is going to work for me is if it involves a movement, you know, because yoga is a moving meditation and Tai Chi almost is a moving meditation. So something that involves movement, I feel like I'll find that easier to do than if it is just like sitting still, because then my mind has something to occupy itself that still keeps it in the present. You know, the problem for me was I'd start planning and stuff like that when I was meditating, and then, bring myself back. And as much as the bringing yourself back, the training your mind to come back to the present is part of the process. I think you've got to find the process that works best for you, that makes it the least painful, right? And I think if I participate in a moving meditation, I think that'll be easier for me. So overall, for me, the project was good. It wasn't successful in the sense that I didn't complete it. My commitment was to meditate every day, and I didn't do that. I probably missed about, in 3 months, I probably missed about 12 days, I think, something like that. But it trained my brain in a way that I hadn't thought it had, because trained my being, should I say, in a way that I hadn't thought it had, because when I got to this retreat, I was actually much more comfortable with the meditation than I thought I was going to be, and much more comfortable with the slowness, because I think people who navigate by their brains, and I don't know which ones of you relate to that, but it's not everyone. Some people just go with gut instincts in their body, and they navigate from their body, and some people just navigate from what they think, and they understand the world through what they think, and I'm more skewed towards that way of being. Slowing down is very good for people like us. That isn't to say I'm not talking about being smart or not smart. I'm talking about just some people just want to understand, and some people just feel. But it's both intelligence. We've got a brain in our stomach as well. FYI. Anywho, okay, so Urban Rat had a lovely Sunday lunch with a bit of chocolate, and Steve says his let me just see if I've missed anyone that's joined. Okay, the Lost Chemist has joined. Hi, Dennis Ree 77 and Paul, hiya, and I am Kim Sophia, hiya. So I'm just going to go back over the comments. So I spoke for quite a while then, so what I normally do is finish my train of thought and then come back to the comments, just in case you're new to the live chats. That's how I usually roll. So Steve says, this is in reference to what the project brought. So bringing clarity, that's a good thought. I think my project definitely did that. I moved from writing 100 pages of a book to now presenting my ideas in an after church group. And so say a little bit more about that. Is it ideas that were going to be in your book, you're presenting them to what end? Like you're presenting them as a sort of sermon or lecture, or you present, yeah, just say a bit more about, excuse me, about what that means. Tommy, hi. Pat says, I'm working 6 to 7 days a week at the moment, working on myself as a project at the moment. Ah, interesting. Say a little bit more about what that means. And Urban Rat Rat says, my project is ongoing. One is 9, the other is 11. Very good. What's your goal? Just because you're raising children doesn't mean you don't have a goal. You can still have a goal, still have a dream. Steve says, I'll be doing that in a few weeks' time, but I have not stopped the creative process of thinking about that. In many respects, the writing I started brought the issue more to the front. In the end, the medium changed, but not the project itself. It just evolved. Ah, okay. So the medium through which you wanted to present these ideas has changed from being something, a piece of literature, to a sort of conversation. I seem to recall a conversation with you about you feeling like you're better when you're interacting with people, and that maybe creating a piece of literature might feel a bit sort of like wading through treacle a little bit. I don't think those were the words you used, but was that right? Did I get that right? Yeah, I mean, there is definitely a legitimate thing where a project can change medium for sure. I was working on a project a couple of years ago, it would have been now, that was a film idea. And then a feature film idea, and then I turned the idea into a short film, more as a proof of concept. But now I'm working on it as a TV series. So sometimes, you know, sometimes the ideas are quite pure in their manifestation, and it's like we're trying to interpret what vessel it needs to be poured into, and sometimes we choose the wrong one, or the one that doesn't best fit it. Not wrong, but doesn't best fit it. And finding, you know, and sometimes an idea can be poured into many vessels. You know, you take something like Fleabag, which started as a one-woman show, and then it became a TV series. Yeah, so it was a play and then it became a TV series. Or like Sex and the City, wasn't that based on like these columns, and then it became a TV show, and then it became a movie. So sometimes an idea, if it's got, you know, a lot of potential to it, if it's dynamic, it can, you know, be poured into many vessels. The Lost Chemist is joined. Hi. And Steve says, I will also say that I came off Facebook 2 months ago and it has ignited my creative space. Damn you, Facebook. I have more ideas flowing, more internal processing, writing loads, even though not my book. Yeah, and you know, discipline around the creative processes is a really big deal. And you know, people tell you the things that you should and shouldn't do, you know, like some people even say take social media apps off your phone and off your computer and all the rest of it, blah, blah, blah. You know, you got to do what you've got to do, but, you know, find processes that work. But creating discipline around distraction is a surefire way to improve your creativity and productivity. You know, and as Steve, you're demonstrating, the fewer because you get into a flow, and all it takes is one little, oh, I wonder what so-and-so's doing on Facebook, and then suddenly that flow's lost. So yeah, I'm not surprised that, you know, getting yourself off social media or Facebook or whatever has made such a big impact. I one of my new things in terms of organising my day is to allow a certain amount of time in the morning just for admin, because it's the first thing I think about in the morning is what do I need to get sorted, not what am I doing as in writing, but what do I need to get sorted. And I think that maybe that distracts me or something, and like I would feel distracted, it'd be like a pebble in my shoe until it was resolved. So I just spend half an hour getting all that stuff out of the way, all the phone calls that need to be made, And if I can't do it in that hour, it gets moved to a different day. So I have to prioritize, you know. And the other thing I also do is I set aside one day or half a day for admin to do with personal life, you know, home and stuff like that, and admin to do with work. And I try, if I can, to put just one day a month or half day a month. And I try and move all the admin stuff, if I can, onto those days. So it leaves my day entirely clear. And I know that those tasks are taken care of. So that might be something you might want to try and emphasize. Depends what your working life is like. And if you're managing a full-time job as well, then obviously that presents different challenges. But yeah, find a way to make the most of the time you have, and taking away distractions will hugely help that. I also think that there's something in getting other people to do things, or paying other people, should I say, to do things so that you can focus on what you want to do. So for example, supposing your hourly rate, if you were to calculate how much you would charge, or if you were billing yourself, how much you would charge an hour, say it's like 50 quid or 30 quid or whatever. What's the point of someone who works at 30 quid an hour cleaning or cutting the grass or whatever? So sometimes, depending on your circumstances, and I know everybody's got different circumstances, so I'm not saying, oh, you know, you should do, but sometimes it's worth just subcontracting out those jobs to somebody who's on a lower rate than you, so that you can concentrate on generating income at the rate that you want to work at. Do you know, does that make sense? Because, and I know that not everyone's in the circumstances to do that, but if you are, consider that you might be able to subcontract those tasks out so that you can focus on the creative endeavors that are going to generate, you know, the significant coin for you, basically. Just a thought. So Dennis Ree 77 and Paul have joined. Yes, hey Paul. And I've said this already, but because I'm going back, I'm just saying it again, you know, say hi. Pat says, trying to get fit and mentally healthy, chakra meditation and breathing press-ups and sit-ups. And breathing, press-ups and sit-ups. I think there's commas in between that. Jolly good, okay. And, Joaquim, hey, welcome back. So Tommy says, I was up to 20 minutes and really got a lot out of slowing down my mind, but I agree about the moving. I rediscovered hiking on my own, really where I can calm the mind most. Just being present is becoming easier. Yeah, Tom, you know, I get that with the hiking because, and also there's something about getting out in nature as well. Like I've got a garden now, and I just went for a walk on the grass, and you know, barefooted, and I think it's called earthing, and it just felt really good. I was a bit trepidation because the grass was long and I was worried about cat shit. But you know, just reconnecting with nature has a really sort of grounding, calming effect on the body, on the mind, and yeah, the moving gives the mind something to, it's almost like giving a kid some crayons to play with or something, in that the mind sometimes seems to need some sort of distraction to allow itself to be present. And if you don't provide the distraction, it sort of creates its own by thinking about the past, worrying about the past, getting anxiety about the future, you know, the things that the mind tends to do. So I completely get how hiking could work like that. So Steve says, yes, I am best when I engage with people, tend to process ideas audibly. Yeah, and so, yeah, if that's the medium that best works for you, because maybe if inspiration comes as you're speaking, then maybe, yeah, the project, the correct vessel for it is some sort of interactive conversation. Brilliant. So Manny Security Guru has joined, and Adrian Saxton says, Manny says leverage. I'm not sure what that is about because I'm just slowly getting through the comments. So if you want to say some more about that, please do. Steve says, I will say that whilst I did not write 100 pages for this book project, I did end up writing something that could form basis of a shorter work in a different area. I mean, just see how it opens up, eh? Because it feels like you want to write something, but it just sounds like you just got to find the right thing that works for you. And one thing I learned early on about my writing, and I think this applies to all writing, is that any project that you stop is not wasted time. It's a byproduct of your learning, you know. And so sometimes learning involves creating, and oh, that one didn't work, or that one's not quite ready, or that one's not quite right, or that's not very good, but I've learned something now, and you apply what you learned to do. But there's also byproducts coming out of that process, and sometimes what we create is that, and it's very good not to get too precious about these things, because, like I say, they could be byproduct. They could be the whey coming out of the process that's, you know, to make the cheese, make the good stuff. Is it whey that comes out of making cheese? Anywho, you know what I'm saying, right? Lazy Eye Zero, hi, and German thinking. Jermaine. Oh, God. Oh, I'm so bad at reading these handles. Anyways. So Steve says, in the area of spirituality and dementia, that came out of an internship I have just been doing. So I learned I tend to be creative in context. Okay. Creative in context. You mean you get inspiration from being in certain circumstances? Is that kind of what you're saying? Jermaine says, hey. Bill says, subcontracting my hedge cutting was best thing I ever did. Mowing lawns is therapeutic, however. See, I'm glad you said that, because I suddenly felt like, is this sounding like me just going, guys, just get someone to do the hard work for you? Obviously, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, you know, if you have the resources and where you can, it's a possibility, but not definitely something you have to do, because like Bill's saying, actually, cutting the grass is very therapeutic. There are some physical manual labor things that are actually quite good to get on and do. Like I cut the grass today and I, you know, really enjoyed it. But there's going to be times when I haven't got time to do it. And cleaning is going to be another one of those things, you know. So do I spend my time doing that, or do I pay someone and then spend my time making good, you know, big money? The big money moves. There's the question. So Bill says, keep cash moving in the economy as well. Yeah, I sort of noticed that when in America, that there's a lot of people to do tasks that fewer people would do in other countries. As in, there'll be fewer people involved in achieving that thing. I don't know, Steve, if you feel the same way. And I thought, and especially with the tipping as well, that's what made me think it as well, is that the tipping is about keeping the economy, keeping cash flowing in the economy. And it made me sort of get less annoyed about it, because, you know, for Brits, if there's any Americans listening here, for Brits, the tipping culture in America is quite a culture shock, because we just pay people, you know what I mean? Like whereas, you know, in the States, people don't get paid very much, and they supplement their income, you know, in service industries, are supplemented with tips. But anyways, point is, yes. Yes. Okay, so Rizu8989, hey, Travelbug12, hey, welcome back. Defeat de Javans, hi, and Manny says, leverage your time for the best purpose. They are right. Gotcha. Yes, absolutely. I don't bother with tasks that waste my valuable time. For example, I'm half decent at WordPress, but I have paid someone to build my website for me. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's more about utilizing your time in the most useful way. Yeah, so exactly. If rather than you struggling to learn how to use WordPress fully and be able to just pay somebody to do it, and then the job's done. Like, so I had somebody over this week to build IKEA furniture for me, because I've just moved house, and I mean, what's the point of doing it at my pay grade when this guy knows how to do it, and, you know, ultimately, even though it's costing me, it will probably benefit me in the sense of, because I could be doing other things while he was doing that. You see? So yeah, absolutely, Manny. Sue Newton just joined, and Brett. Okay, cool. Brett and Verizon. Variety D, what's up? And Naomi, hey, happy Easter, Variety D. And Steve says, yes, my creativity emerges as a result of my circumstances, allowing what is going on around me to inspire me. And also, you know, Steve, you want to be able to, and I'm sure you can, but you want to be able to, there's two squirrels, just, I don't know if they're playing or fighting, or, you know. Oh, they are. Brilliant. You want to be able to cultivate or generate your creativity wherever you are. You want it to be on tap. You want it to be something you can, you know, just call on when you need it. If you want this sort of thing to be more career, well, even if you don't, because, you know, the things that you're doing on a sort of hobby or amateur basis, you still want to be able to generate them when you need them, rather than to need to create circumstances for it to happen. Do you know what I mean? And Tommy says yes to Steve, and Oren Frankham has joined. Hi. And Brett says, I hand it over to someone who's more apt at building websites while I get paid for delivering training, which is what I'm good at and get paid for. And equally, probably there's somebody, an even higher paid grade than you, that's thinking, look, I sort of know how to deliver training, but I'm going to get Brett in because he actually knows what he's, you know, and my time would be better used, da, 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 da. And so it goes on up the tree, you know. Rise you says, will you be doing a stand-up talk? Okay, so normally I stay on topic, just so you know, and the topic is these projects. So Steve says, don't get me started on tipping. Yes, because Steve is a Brit living in the States. So pronounce Rishu. Let me write that down. Rishu. Bill says building IKEA, definitely not therapeutic. Well, you know, I mean, if that's your thing. Okay, good. So where are we at? Right, got it. Oren Frankham says, sorry if this is October, but just saw you on Shazam. Okay, it was excited when I saw you in it. Well done on the roll. You're great. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, does anyone else have anything they want to say about projects? Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think we've heard from the folks that had topics going, which would be who are here today. Because there was a lot of other topics, but I think either people are like swerving this conversation, or they're just doing their Easter thing. Yes, I think that's everyone. So the only other thing for me to say then, in which case, is that something I just realized today is that the topics are a culmination of everything we've been talking about for this entire sort of 18 months, basically. Because if you think about it, what's included in the topics, I just went through some of the things, what's included in the projects is pretty much everything we've been talking about. And I went through some of the topics that we've covered over this last year and a half. So things like just starting. And we had a whole, I mean, for those of you who haven't sort of been on the journey, on the road with us, we have like a sort of hour-long conversation about each of these topics, and getting started was even one, because it's a big deal. And you guys, who took on projects or have thought about projects or, you know, ruminating on one, you got started. Your hustle was one, you know, finding a way to make things work, pooling your resources, seeing, you know, having more of a outside the box mentality about what resources you actually have access to, bringing in discipline, seeing where you're falling short actually in terms of discipline. And I saw that in myself, in the sense of like when something else came in, I sort of let go of the meditation. It was a pretty big thing that came in, but nonetheless I still sort of defaulted to it's not possible, whereas I could have gone up a little bit earlier, could have included my mum in the meditation, you know, there could have been ways around it. Talent versus training, so literally just keeping going for the 3 months. And again, for myself, I saw that I realized after the end of the project that I had been training my brain in a particular way to be able to sustain the meditation in a way that wasn't completely in my head. We talked about things like legacy, freedom, fear, the monkey mind. So I'm sure that as people took on the projects, they experienced that chatter. It can't be done. It's not going to work out. What are you doing? You haven't got time for this, blah, blah, blah. You know, all that sort of stuff, and just overcoming it or not, and seeing the impact of that as well. We talked about well-being. So in the process of doing the project, there would have been times when you would have needed rest or mental, to take care of yourself in terms of your mental health. Steve, you were just talking about ideas and inspiration. We talked about ideas. Where do they come from? We had a whole conversation about surrender, about being present, about what's your purpose. So part of, doing these projects, it might have revealed something about where are you heading in your life? What is your life all about? Or what is it all about right now? Because your purpose can actually change over the course of your life, and there's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with not feeling a sense of having a purpose, but something might have been revealed in the process of doing it. Rejection as well. So in the process of taking on the projects, there may have been times when you've asked for something and it hasn't worked out. Habits. God, over 3 months, you'll find out what your habits are. And so that's, again, another component of taking on a project, not just these, but any project. Working smart, attitude, obstacles. God, there would have been obstacles. And I definitely felt those, even just taking on meditation. God knows what it'd been like if, like Steve, you're trying to write 100 pages, or, people who were trying to commit to writing 3 times a week, or painting, or, whatever. Success, self-doubt, magic. God, how must that have felt when, everyone that's taken on the projects and succeeded finally crossed the finish line. So that was kind of what the projects were about. Not just about achieving something, as in, now I started something and now I have this thing and now I'll just go back to the way I was. No. It's got to be about, now from here, what do I create? Now from here, what impact? What are the ripple effects of taking on this project, and seeing myself as someone that can complete that in a way that was really conscious. Because we were doing it together, and because we all committed to it, we all made an agreement together, basically, that we're going to, it brings a certain consciousness to taking on a project, rather than when you make an agreement with someone, it's a bit more staked, there's a bit more staked in that. And so it's kind of going to feel a bit weird if you don't pull it off. Whereas if you only it's weird how we are less committed, we are less committed to the commitments we make to ourselves than we are to other people. Like, as if you agree to go running with another person, you're more likely to show up. But if you only make the agreement to run with yourself, you'll be like, I'm going to stay in bed. So, my point is, where will this go? Where will you take this from here? What has the project set you up with? And for those that didn't participate in the project, what do you feel taking on a project could bring? Could it create a context for the things that you want to create for yourself? Yeah. Brett says, I'm reading a book now called Go for No, which states that to succeed, you need to look forward to all the no's. The no's are the keys to success. Do you know, I think you're absolutely right. I think that no is one of the hardest things to deal with. And I think a lot of people are scared of the rejection and so don't even start. But if you already know that that's going to be part of what you're going to be facing, it kind of makes it easy. It's like, cool, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. So next, just keep going, keep going, keep going, because every now and again there's going to be a yes. There's always more no's than yeses. So if you're prepared for that, because I think probably what's happening in a lot of people's minds, including my own, is that you go into something thinking, of course they're going to say yes. And then they say no, and you're like, oh my God. When actually it should be, no, they're probably going to say no. What? Yes? Then the yes is profound, and the no is like, I knew that was going to happen. I'm already ready to ask the next person. And it's not no in a defeatist way. I should imagine that's what the book is saying, Brett. It's not no in a defeatist way. It's a kind of, this just statistically, this is what's most likely. Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean I'm not going to try just as hard, just be just as committed, give it a go, and just see if I can transform this situation into a yes. And if not, then I'll do it the next time. And if not, then the next time. And if not, then the next time. That's really ideally the way to go into it, but it's hard. That is hard shit. I'm glad there's a book about it. Mad Fatter has joined. Hi. And Steve says, yes, the conversation about surrender was a game changer. Excellent. And Steve also says, it allowed me to pay more attention to the inner voice and what I want to do rather than getting stressed about production. Yes, purpose, all that conversation as well. Justin, oh hi. Rishu says, that sounds like band practice for me. Oh, what, the phone dropping? Oh, wait. Okay, so it is Manny, not Brett. I don't know where I got Brett from then. Didn't you write Brett? Anyway, Rishu says, I feel way more excited about playing music in a group rather than practicing solo. Oh, I see. Yes. Doing things in partnership with other people rather than alone. Yeah, definitely. Because what's produced is greater than the sum of the parts. It's something special it's like when you listen to a choir. For some reason, the sound of the same person's voice looped over again is very different to the sound of the same number of different people singing, because everyone's got different harmonics and, tone to their voice. And so, that's much more pleasing to sing in a group than to create I know that's a weird example, but it's just something I was thinking the other day of, like, why are choirs so pleasing to the ear? And it is because of all those different tones and harmonics in each person's voice, as opposed to, even if you heard 10 like a 10-track recording of the same person, it wouldn't be as satisfying as hearing 10 individuals. And so people coming together is always some form of magic. Manny says, it's a numbers game. Yes, it is. Jakeem says, I have never mentioned my project, but I have written 7 very small novellas with alternative endings depending what the reader chooses to read. Excellent. His purpose was to educate my colleagues in my area of work. Lovely. Congrats. So are you saying you completed and succeeded on your project? Manny says nope, in response to I can't remember what, but for some reason, I don't know what, you did say Brett somewhere. I swear to God. I'm going back now over the comments. I'm not having this. My time is Brett. Oh, yeah, okay, maybe it was a typo, but there's a comment here where you go, my time is Brett. And maybe you meant to write something else. And I just read it as my name is Brett. And then it all just went Pete Tong. Oh, it all went wrong. And so Jakeem said, oh wait, Justin said Thomas Tallis. What's Thomas Tallis? Thomas Tallis. Jakeem says it has helped us to work more effectively. Yeah. Ryan, we were just sort of catching up about how the projects have gone, and you sent a painting. Your project was to complete a painting, and you sent me an image of that. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to. No, I won't be able to share it. Are you able to share it? I don't know if you want to share it. It's very good. So yeah, how was that, like, undertaking it, starting it? How did you feel when you completed it? How did you feel any sense of, like, not responsibility to the rest of the group, but that because you had declared it publicly, that you felt more like you should finish it, you know? Mikey Cowrie has joined, and so Ryan says hello, and yes, I have completed my project. Manny says ha 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 ha, typo. What did you mean? What word were you meaning to type? Anyway, Jakeem says yes. So now is 20 to 30% more effective. That's fantastic. And Ryan says he will try. Okay, so I'll give you a minute because I know it takes a second to just like, so don't feel any hurry to reply to all that, Ryan. Just like write whatever you feel like you're able to share. And Jakeem, tell us how that was for you in completing your project as well. Your secret project that you didn't even tell us about. But that's brilliant. So while those guys are just like formulating some responses, does anyone have any questions, thoughts or comments that they want to share with the rest of the group about, I don't think, oh God, it does work. I was going to say, I don't think that hyperlink works. Oh, it says I can pin the comment or I can go live with you, but I can't look at the thingy that you just sent. The link that you just sent just now. Yeah, does anyone have any comments or thoughts or ideas or questions that they want to share about the whole notion of projects? Next week, just so you know, this is the last conversation that we're having for now anyways, unless, yes, it's the last one basically. It's the last one. And so it's really, in that one, we're going to just talk about what next, like, where we're going next, what the future holds in terms of our creative journey. This whole conversation is, we've basically been having an 18-month conversation about what it means to be a creative, which finishes next week. And it's really about the future. It's like, where do you go from here? What next? And yeah, so that's basically what we'll be talking about. So yeah, it'll be the 28th, same time, 7 o'clock UK time, which is, I'm not even going to guess what time zones y'all are in. So like, yeah, basically 7 o'clock. Yeah, it's the last one, Steve. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Ryan and Jakeem, how are you doing in terms of, oh, here we go. Okay, so Jakeem says, it's actually been published in 100 prints shared within the company. So I'm actually now a published author. Whoop! Congratulations. This is amazing. I'm very, very happy for you. How does that feel? And Numanoid 1979 and Michael Nyan has joined. Jakeem says, it's been awesome. And he gives a thumbs up. Hearts from Steve. And Brian says, I've tried to send it to the group, but having issues. Ah, okay, maybe, I don't know. Cut and paste? No, that's not going to work, is it? I don't know why. Numanoid says, very well done to you. I think that's to Jakeem. I haven't done anything. So, yeah, it's probably to Jakeem for his successes at becoming a published author. All right, I'll hang on a little longer. But, yeah, just to see if you can find a way to push that comment through, because it'd be really good to hear how it all went. Any other thinkings? Let me see if I've got anything written down that I wanted to share with you guys. I think the overall thing for me was really how the projects were pulling together everything that we've been talking about. I think to me, that's really significant in the sense of like, anything you want to achieve, everything we've talked about, there'll be an element of that will help you get there. Whatever it is you're struggling with, I'm pretty sure we've covered it, because we have covered literally everything. And when I say me, I do genuinely mean we. I don't mean just because I was saying the words. You guys were contributing and inspiring me to create these conversations every week. And so have them be a resource for you as well, because, you know, if there is something that you're feeling like, I'm feeling like, I don't know, I need to watch a video about surrender. You know, get onto my YouTube channel and just watch it. They're all there, and I put them there to be a resource to go for people to go back to and use as they're useful to you. So, you know, if you feel like you're feeling lost or not sure, feeling like some stagnation in your creative life, just check them out. Just dip in and out, watch a bit of whichever one you feel like resonates. And also, they will most likely at some point be turned into podcasts, and I will let you know about that, Instagram family. And yeah, then you can have them as audio thingies that you can listen to in the car, and use them as resources that way. So Rishu says, how many open mic nights have you been to before going steady with stand up? I never really distinguished between open mics. I mean, I suppose in a way, yeah, there are some that are very clearly open mics, but there's not a set number, because if someone's going to give you money to do a gig, then you take that gig, but you're probably still doing a little bit of open mics. If you're asking when did I first get paid for a gig, it was probably after about 6 months, something like that. If you're asking when did I go full time as a stand-up, I mean, I was always doing a little bit of lots of different things. I was always doing a little bit of stand-up, a little bit of writing, a little bit of acting as well. So I think I gave up my temping and all that sort of stuff. I think I gave that up after about 6 months of doing stand-up, but I really had to hustle, and I'm talking about this because it does pertain to the creative life, in the sense of like, I really had to work my ass off in those first few months, and I was literally working out how to make ends meet every month. If I need these number of gigs, or I need an acting job, or I need something because now that I've stopped working in pub, because I worked in a pub for ages, and I was a temp, and I was a tequila girl, worst job I've ever had, and I was doing all kinds of things. And so once I went pro, as it were, then it's not like you go pro and then suddenly you rain and making it rain, it's hard sometimes, and you never know where, you never know if you're gonna have to resort back to working in a pub or something again, basically. So yeah, so that's the honest answer, is that it's not a clear cut now I've gone amateur, now I'm pro, no more open mics. And furthermore, open mic nights are really good for like checking out new material, trying out new material. So I never, in my whole career, never stopped doing open mic nights, because sometimes you need those sneaky quiet nights to try your new material under the radar, and no money needs to change hands, so you've got no commitment to be good, you just do it, So yeah, who was your inspiration to be a comedian? Lots of people. Lots of people, literally, like Victoria Wood, Lenny Henry, Chris Rock, Louis C.K., until I found out that he was a weirdo. Robin Williams. Gosh, who else? Chappelle. Anyone who's great inspires me in some way, but the main ones are probably those guys, because I remember watching a lot of Victoria Wood and Lenny Henry. Those were the people that really, Jasper Carrott, those are the people that stuck in my mind that were on British TV, back in the day. A lot of real McCoy, character performers, like Felix Dexter and then Curtis Walker, who's doing stand-up, so there's a lot. So Jakeem says, for me, these chats have profoundly changed me. Now I do my ideal instead of just dream of it. Yes. Ideas. Okay. So thank you, Andy. Thank you so much. That is very kind of you. I'm so delighted that this has made a difference. That was my only goal, is to make a difference and to provide something that I was hungry for, conversations about what it means to be a creative, because the motivation for me was always that it always was very mundane, the conversations around being a creative, and we're always being told what we can't do and what's hard about it, and just talking about the difficulties and the practicalities. And actually, yes, we can handle all of that stuff. I need the inspiration. I need the thinking that comes from a bigger context. And that's available talking about life in general, but not specifically for us creatives. So that's why I wanted to create this. So I'm so glad that that's made a difference to you. So Ryan, I didn't see your comment. I'm guessing that you're still having trouble posting. So listen, I'm gonna wrap this up. Happy Easter issue. I creatively miss working with you too, Justin. Steve says you are making and have made a difference. Thank you so much. Oh, guys, that's very, very kind of you. I will be asking for your thoughts and comments about these, and I'll use them in my marketing for the podcast. All right, listen. I don't have any gigs this year planned, but I might do. We'll see. Okay, so guys, it's 8 minutes to, so why don't we finish kind of early? I mean, not that there's a set time, but they're usually about an hour, aren't they? Next week, the conversation, as I said earlier, is all about... Patrick, you always join just as I'm about to finish. Next week, the conversation is about the future. What next? What does what's next look like for you? So it's going to be same time next week, 28th of April, 7 o'clock UK time, and whatever time that is for you where you are. I wish you the happiest of happy Easters. Tommy says, thank you for all you give to creatives. Well, we thank you for being you guys and coming to play with me on Sunday nights. I very much appreciate you. It's not over yet. Patrick says, oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, maybe UK clocks have changed. Perhaps. Yeah, Steve says, early playtime. Okay. Patrick says, thinks the clocks have changed. Yes, possibly. Yes, UK clocks were... Wow, that was about a month ago, so... Yeah, I'm not giving you that. All right, Lucy, hey! We're just finishing. We're legit just finishing. But we are going to be doing this one last time next week. Guys, have a lovely Easter. And as always, this is going to be up on my YouTube channel. I've changed the name of my channel. It's now youtube.com/Andy Osho channel. Instead of just like numbers and letters that it was before. Yay. Have a great week. And I will see you next week. Bye.